Hey Ben, what's the Astec Safety online e-learning website?
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Astec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Astec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Good afternoon. We are live from the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Center with the Astec Safety Challenge. The game you'll be watching today is between Team Gushue and Team deConinck Smith. For those watching at home, my name is Ryan Armstrong, and my co-commentator for this afternoon is Monty Armstrong. In terms of the games today, I'll give you a quick snapshot across the sheets. Beginning on sheet 2 is Returnaz versus Libus. Sheet 3 is Jacques versus White. Sheet 4 is the game you'll be tuning into today, and that's Gushue deConinck Smith. Sheet 5 is Howard Carruthers, and that's also televised. And sheet 6 is Balance and Jacobs, and sheet 7 is Tau and Dunstone. So there's 2 featured games today for your viewing pleasure. They can be watched on TELUS Optic, the Lloydminster Curling Club YouTube channel, or Curling Zone. We are just waiting on the teams to finalize their last shot draw for the hammer. And while we wait, we can perhaps recap some of the results from the first draw this morning, the morning games. For those that haven't had an opportunity to log into the website, whether it's Curling Zone or otherwise, we had Mowat defeating Manners by a score of 9-2. We had Hesley defeating Knapp 6-3. We had McEwen defeating Edie 10-1. Pierce defeated Adine by a score of 8-5. Schwaller defeat Klist 9-4. And Goskins defeated Cooey, stealing in an extra end by a score of 7-5. So those were the first 12 teams to play in this event. These are the second 12 teams. This is a triple knockout format, so 3 losses, you're out. But if you qualify, then you're into the final 8, playing for cash on late Friday and Saturday. So we've got a pretty good game on tap. Team Gushue probably needs no introduction, but it's lead Jeff Walker, second Brendan Botcher, third Mark Nichols, and skip Brad Gushue. Certainly the teams had a slightly different flavor, with Brendan Botcher recently joining the team, taking over for E.J. Harnden at second. This team has been out on tour obviously since August or early September. They've had a few events under their belt. They are obviously the reigning Canadian champion, and they will be Team Canada at the 2025 Brier in Kelowna. But they've already had runner-up finishes at the PointsBet Invitational, the Grand Slam of Curling Tour Challenge, and the Grand Slam Canadian Open, as well as a 4th place finish at the Pan Continental Championships. Their opponent today, Carl deConinck Smith. For those who may not know, Carl's been a long-time competitive curler in Saskatchewan. Carl has been to many provincial championships in Saskatchewan. The team includes some local flavor. Lead Jax Robson is replacing his father Mike, who normally plays with the team but is out with an injury. Second, Kaylin Dice resides in southern Saskatchewan now, but previously curled in Lloydminster and played in Lloydminster. And his brother Ryan Dice is the third, and he is a resident of Saskatchewan, and Lloydminster, I should say. So, Monty, with respect to 2 teams like this, one of which is the current Canadian world number 3, and Carl, what would your thoughts be in the first end if you were Carl, perhaps without the hammer?
Well, I think without the hammer, he has to probably play things in the rings and keep it fairly simple. You know, the Gushue team can make the big shots and certainly score big ends, and you don't want to get a bunch behind on these guys, so I think you want to try to, make an effort to steal, but also if you can hold them to 1 or 2 and force them to take one, then of course you're sitting pretty good with the hammer.
Yeah, certainly against these top teams that play almost weekly, and for a lot of them, it's almost their day-to-day job. It is difficult. It's challenging when you're not necessarily a team that's playing weekly, or perhaps even or competing weekly on a week in events, but certainly practicing on a weekly basis. We had that opportunity last year when we curled in this.
And then it shows you play against the teams that are doing it all the time. You can't afford to miss too many shots, even half shots, because they jump on you pretty quick.
There's usually not a whole miss by any of these top teams in the world. The ice conditions here at Lloydminster Curling Club are fantastic. The event sponsor, Astec Curling, brought in Darren Molding to make the ice for the event. We had an ice maker brought in last year as well, and the ice was fantastic. This is the second year of this event. And this is the last shot draw for Carl deConinck Smith. He's got an opportunity to score, or to secure the hammer here, because Gushue slid a hair deep. This looks pretty good if they can get it there. And I think they did it.
Shot, yep.
So on sheet 4, it will be Carl deConinck Smith with the hammer in the first end, throwing yellow stones, and Brad Gushue throwing first with the red stones.
You talk about rankings, and Carl's team is ranked 139th in the Canadian Tour, and Brad's team is number 3. But when you get out on the ice, nobody thinks about those things. It's about making your shots and being competitive. So number 3 can mean quite a bit on the scoreboard, but if you make the right shots, you can still beat anybody.
And this is a bit of a home game for 3 of the 4 players in Carl's team. Ryan Dice, certainly Kalen curled here for a number of years, although he no longer resides here, and Jax as well. So,
and it's a great experience for Jax to be out here. I don't realize he's replacing his dad in this game, but he's a good young competitive curler, and I think he's going to bring a lot away from this weekend.
Oh, yeah, it's a tremendous opportunity for someone of that age.
Yeah, get to curl against world champions.
Kicking things off for Brad Gushue's team is lead Jeff Walker.
Little light, Jeff. Room length. Weight's good. Weight's good. We're close.
Ice is so good, and the sweepers are so good at judging these shots that there's not a whole bunch of these lead rocks that are put in the right spot.
No, perfect center, guard split the center. It's typical of all these top leads, they do not miss much. Whether it's a Brier or Worlds or any of those Grand Slam events, you typically see those shooting percentages. It used to be 90 or 91, and now they're obviously 95 plus at most games for the top 3 or 5 leads of this. Team deConinck Smith, the lead Jax Robson. Just looking to put up a corner guard, get something going this hand.
Jax has got his first rock underway, and he put that one where it was supposed to be, so it's a good start for his event.
And we talked earlier about what we would anticipate Carl's team to do if they didn't have the hammer. I think with hammer, he's still going to be in a similar position. I don't see Gushue really looking to get around the corner here. They're going to play super aggressive and by that center.
Yeah, I would think he'll want to try to regain hammer back here. Of course, try to steal if he can.
This looks a little deep.
So it's behind the tee line, so gives a chance to freeze on it. It's sticking out the other side. Can't hit it all and behind the corner.
Jeff.
Looking about a foot of ice. I think it'll probably be down weight on it.
He called maybe a board. Team signaled that it's a little warm. This looks to be on the guard. So for those new to curling or unfamiliar with curling, there's what's called a 5-rock free guard zone. These players play with that, so what that means is any of the rocks in front of the scoring area, in front of the colored house, blue and yellow house, cannot be removed until after the 5th thrown stone of the end. You can remove your own stone, but you can't remove the opponent's stone. And so because that was a removal of the opponent's stone, it gets put back up, and the thrown stone of Team deConinck Smith is removed. Gushue second, Brendan Botcher with his first stone of the end.
They're making use of that center guard again and going around it probably to the top of the 4 foot.
This looks like it's a little tight.
Oh.
Ooh. Great draw. Great sweep by the guys getting that by. That's just a total team shot by one of those top teams. Take a look at that again.
There might be the occasional time I'll switch with you, but I'll stay here for now.
Just how close that was to that guard.
Yep.
And the,
No one can hear anyone.
okay.
Just can now, second.
So Team deConinck Smith, the second, Kalen Dice. Kalen's a long-time lead. I think he made the switch this year with this team to play second. He's close here. That's a great shot. Just a good positional shot to get a rock top 8 and a little bit of the control zone. And Team Gushue staying aggressive here. They're looking to put a lot of pressure on early on.
We were on it. I got top 12. I don't have heavy. Here. It's a little light, Brendan.
Go ahead.
15, is looking good if they have enough weight to corner it on there.
Yeah, they called a little light, and it was probably 4 or 5 feet lighter than the last one. Still a great shot. It's better there than deep, and something that the deConinck Smith team can freeze to. So it's a great shot.
I think Carl will probably have to open things up now to
light, but
make sure he has some shots to back in.
What I expected.
Yeah, if Carl wants to play defensive, he's probably going to look to try to peel the top or double
I
peel.
think we haven't seen.
If he wanted to play aggressive, he could come
sweeping,
around
so
out turn again with Kalen's rock and play a tap on those yellow-red. But this being the first end, it depends on your comfort with the ice and your comfort level with the amount of rocks in play in a first end.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can listen into their conversation here.
Big effect with the brooms. Like, your first one, I never thought was going to go that far. Your second one, based on the splits,
I think they're just
I was
looking
happy
to
with what you threw. I thought
peel
we'd
or
come
maybe
little
get a
bit
hit
further.
and roll corner
Coming
guard
over the
out
hog
of
line,
it.
I wasn't sure we were going to get that close to the rings.
He has to be careful. He could take his own out if he catches the edge of that other one.
Probably just a touch more weight, Kalen.
They're just playing a soft hit here. They're not looking for the double. It's mostly about the positioning of this Yellowstone. Hit and roll. This over curled, so they played a little bit of a plan B. Try to move those reds off center. Job accomplished. They probably would have wanted it to either over curl more. The original shot was to hit and roll away. The problem now is that stagger on those two stones at the top.
Yeah, and the Gushue team has thrown the exact same stone pretty near in all their first 5 shots, so they know exactly what it's going to do. So I'm sure this one will be pretty near where they want it, cornered on that yellow.
Gushue lead is Mark Nichols. Sorry, Gushue third. My apologies. Of course, he's a longtime teammate of Brad Gushue, going back to, I believe, junior curling. Certainly through their Olympic run, 2006. And that's not a bad stone. I think if he would have wanted it a little bit higher in corner on that yellow.
Yeah. There's a chance of moving those 2 reds out of there.
It's fast.
I think so.
So the discussion was whether they were going to come around and try to tap on those reds, peel the yellow sideways across the face of the red that they just moved, or a straight run back. And I think the call was a straight run back.
Straight run back if they can.
Either that or that's
miss
fast.
their own yellow,
like,
then sitting there counting 2.
That's gone
I think if he
each
misses
time.
it, he's going to miss it
Because it's
a
the one I
hair
threw on the
low
draw going
and
that
try
way.
to miss it across the face. That's a good shot. Those rocks are now off center line. They're not staggered. And it'll be difficult for Gushue to guard both of them, should he choose. So it's a great shot by deConinck Smith's third, Ryan Dice.
He does have 2 of his own rocks there, Carl does, that he can play back if Brad doesn't do something with the one.
Gushue's looking to remove that one top 8 because it's the rock that is going to be trouble for him, if anything. But it's not easy for anyone to do that because to peel it out the side, so to speak, you'd probably only be able to throw hack weight at it to get by that top yellow.
The other option's to sit between the 2 yellows from where Brad's broom is.
That looks to be the call. They're just going to draw down.
And we don't have a hammer either, right? Like,
just change up the angle so the yellow doesn't direct into the one that
you got to think this is
just threw.
quick.
This will be the first rock that the Gushue team is throwing on the other side of the ice.
Okay. Top 12. Line's good. Yep.
Gushue keeping up the pressure this end. They're not looking to necessarily remove any yellow stones, but just change the angles up. It's sitting okay for them right now.
Hard! Hard! Good judge.
Bad. I don't know if it guarded either of them both.
I think he can still, may have guarded the one that's in the top of the 8, but I think he can play the other one back.
Yeah.
Of course, there's some risk if you peel out your own. You're in big trouble.
Run pretty straight here. No. Yeah.
Slide really good.
Calls for basically a straight run back or maybe 7/8 high side and potentially remove 2 red stones and sit 1 or 2 buried. I think he's probably missed a little narrow. I don't think you could miss it wide though, so that's not a bad shot either.
Ugh.
So Gushue could probably double those yellows out if he wanted.
That's a good rock pull there.
Skinny double, but even
Never
if he
touches the back of it, does it?
and sat behind the top yellow, threw quiet weight.
The yellow that's fully in the 8 foot, I think, is the trouble stone.
It's a
for
little
him right
scary.
now.
Do you ever do the same thing? Right now, this is that heel.
I think the call was to hit the top yellow on the side and half of it and double peel the yellows. Maybe not. call just a nose hit? I'm not entirely sure. They didn't really indicate.
Well, even if he played it onto his middle red at the back and split them out,
It's not the worst result. Brad Gushue's first stone of the first end here in Lloydminster at the Astec Safety Challenge. Oh, it was a thin double. And well executed.
Okay.
He's opened everything up and lays 4. With Carl deConinck Smith set to throw his first stone here of the first end.
To the locals, you know there will always be a just what you don't. By there it does. A little bump. Is he going to go all the way around this one? Oh.
So in this situation, are you looking to just maximize the space available for your last shot draw, or are you still thinking that you can potentially score 2 if you make a good hit and roll?
well, there isn't a real big wall behind them to, you know, he's not tight enough to have backing behind it, so I'm thinking he has to make sure that he's going to score his 1 here, and he could play a hit and just flop and sit in front of the Gushue rock at the back of the 8. Might give him the best chance of getting 2, but
Last week, a little bigger than that. Yeah. You think bigger than that?
So the shot would either be hit and sit in front of that back red, or try to hit and roll buried behind the corner guard.
yes, but he wouldn't be shot then.
I don't think a nose hit's the worst either, because if Brad Gushue noses back, there still might be a nose hit to score 1.
Right.
What I'd be playing. You know, just roll right into it, right? Like,
Carl deConinck Smith, the skip of the team, his first stone of the first end here in Lloydminster at the Astec Safety Challenge. Jax Robson on the sweep. And it's not a bad result. Double and roll in front. It's actually a pretty good shot.
It ended out pretty good. If you get a half miss here from Brad, he could have a chance for 2 if it happens to tick the back one out.
Yeah, he shot stone. He's going to force Brad to make a double.
That's fine.
And remove the yellow. Brad could also just peel it and roll out. I don't think
Peel
that-
it and roll out and force him to draw for 1.
it's across it, right?
Really wet. Yeah.
Last shot of the first end for Brad Gushue.
Yep. Hard.
This is curling, definitely. Oh, great shot.
6-3. Leave Carl the draw for 1.
Great shot from Brad Gushue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a bit of curl there.
Always makes the skip maybe think twice or consider drawing against 2 versus drawing against 3. So it's always important, and that's what those top teams do. They'll put pressure on whenever they possibly can. Sometimes you look at the ice, you look at the amount of ice they're taking for
that's
a
why
draw,
we're just kinda
and I believe the call was to draw somewhat to backing, unless he changed it.
just peel it out with
But we're looking at 4.5 feet of ice, 4 feet to center line, and probably 5.5 to backing on that red one.
I would think that's going to be a straight draw.
I think so too.
rotation before it reaches
Kalen
that
Dice and Jax Robson sweeping early.
Put
I
it
think
out
the call
there.
was it was a little light. This path is well worn though.
You gotta go. You gotta go still. Looks like you gotta go.
Sweepers are working here to get it there.
And they
And that's
did.
a great sweep. Great sweep. So in the first end, Carl deConinck Smith, yellow, scores 1 over Brad Gushue with the hammer. We'll be back for the second end in a few moments.
L and ACPA, going beyond accounting and tax. The assurance that experienced professionals that care are committed to providing you financial confidence and helping you reach your goals. We listen, we analyze, we advise, we deliver.
Welcome back to Draw 2 of the Astec Safety Challenge here in Lloydminster. This is the game between Brad Gushue and Carl deConinck Smith, and it was a good draw by Carl deConinck Smith with his last rock in the first end against 3 Gushue counters to score 1. So it's 1-0 for Carl deConinck Smith over Brad Gushue. Brad Gushue has the hammer here in 2.
You know, I'm sure both teams are pretty happy with the results of the first end. I'm sure Carl would have liked to got 2, but Brad did what he wanted to do, is to force Carl, and he now has the hammer and gives him a chance to score multiple points.
And with his first stone, deConinck Smith lead Jax Robson slid just into the top 12, and so the call on the second shot is to just guard that up with a tight guard.
Some mistakes on both sides. A big miss from Carruthers obviously opened it up. And then the roll, he was looking to just maybe come away with 1 here, but rolled out. Not ideal first start for him.
This looks like it's a little full.
They'll learn from each one of his shots and see some better shots here as the game progresses. We're learning the ice a little bit.
Carruthers maintains hammer here as we go into the set.
Yeah, just an extra few feet of weight. If that had been a little short of that, it would have made probably Brad play a different shot. But now that these are in the rings, he can hit either one of them, and it looks like he's going to play a little hit and roll behind his own.
Lead Jeff Walker with his second stone at the end.
Yeah, we're on
Weight's good.
sheet 5. There's another broadcast of the local team, deConinck Smith, and they're facing off against Gushue on sheet 4. That's on the live broadcast.
This is pretty close.
Stay with us if you can.
Well, I think it's so special, too. I mean, you got a high school kid.
Hit and roll, not quite buried, but still a great shot.
Yeah.
It's already got Carl playing a little bit away from center line, so. As you're watching, Lloydminster Curling Club here at the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Center is an 8-sheet facility. They have 6 sheets used for this event. The ice is not the usual typical curling club. It's more of an arena-style ice. Curling, the rocks have been touched up to make sure that they provide a lot of curl for the guys. And it's really a premium event in terms of what a lot of these teams will see throughout the year. That's a great shot by second Kalen Dice. You might just see Gushue play the double.
I think he's going to ignore those yellow rocks and try to put some pressure on deConinck Smith's team and put one in the edge of the 4-foot behind his own rock.
Yeah, these top teams will keep the pressure on the whole time, play aggressive. Second, Brendan Botcher with his first stone.
And just a reminder, if you're watching the live stream, this is live, so you might hear some savory or unsavory words, and that's okay. Sometimes we express ourselves as human beings, and we have our first official F-bomb of the stream. Thank you, Reed Carruthers.
A couple of points in the chat here. First off with Pepper.
Oh, and this really curled that rock.
What they're comping on?
Yeah.
Fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher with Astec safety. It's an important business here in town. They do so much for our community, and they have this whole thing.
So small miss there from Team Gushue. Nothing I don't think they'll worry about too much because it's still a usable corner guard.
She's just here for the announcer.
It's early in the end, and you know, even if Carl gets a couple in behind, they've got the guns that can run those reds back and get rid of the opposition rocks pretty quick. So I'm sure, depending on what Galen does here, they may follow it, depending where he puts it.
Yeah, whether it's Botcher or Nichols or even Brad Gushue, they all can throw the up weight so accurately that 2 or 3 rocks can disappear if they're not set up in the proper fashion. This is a wide out turn draw coming in. It looks pretty good. The rock of Botchers, this is a little bit of a fresher spot. They haven't been out this wide. Botchers curled hard. This is a good stone. That's a great rock by Kalen Dice.
Yeah.
Even acknowledgement by Brad that Gushue that was a great shot. Brennan Botcher's second stone, as we just advertised, there's going to be a up-weight run back come through here.
Really good shot.
It's close. Pretty well executed.
Yeah.
Run double, didn't remove it, but it's out in the wings where it's probably not going to cause too much consternation for Brad later on in the end.
And he left the one at the top of the rings, and it's going to make Carl make a play on it.
And as an added bonus, he now has a double corner on the side that he can go behind later when he gets the opportunity. But if Ryan Dice can execute this shot, then there's a good opportunity to keep the pressure on and keep them away from that corner. Just a soft hit and roll. Pretty close. Well, that's a great shot. Great shot by third Ryan Dice. Cuts off the corner guard for Gushue and removes the redstone. There's no trouble really for either team here. There's no center guard that's going to cause Brad any issues. And certainly there's no redstones right now in the rings that are going to cause Carl DeConinck Smith any trouble at this point. I think Carl would be very happy having Mark Nichols throwing weight at 3 rocks in the rings. Call's just a soft way hit and roll. Can roll almost 10 feet over to the other yellow.
Hard!
Rolled to a pretty good spot. That there is a straight run back for Carl.
But that's a positional shot. Now they're playing towards the corners. They're behind the corner guards. And it's going to be an opportunity potentially for Gushue later on in the end to go behind if there's a miss.
Especially with the in-turn, makes it even.
On the sweep, Jax Robson. Ryan Dice's final stone here in the second hand. And removes the red. And I think the one he ran back just spun out. So Brad could just straight draw here behind the corner. He's talking about a hit and roll as well.
Good hat.
I think the thought is they don't want to leave a control stone up top.
Okay.
pretty much almost can't miss this shot as long as you stick around somewhere.
Yeah, even if it's a nose hit, he'll be shot rock.
Yeah, and it's a control stone.
It's going to force Carl to do something with it.
I think they're looking to hit it thin and make a roll over to the yellows.
You're very close with this one.
And that is a great hit and roll by Mark Nichols. It is shot stone. And it's going to force Carl deConinck Smith to play out to the wings.
Or Carl could go around it. Go around the reds and... but no, he's going to try to peel it out of there.
Yeah, for Brad Gushue, he wants to score multiple points with hammer, but he's very patient. He's perfectly content taking a blank here and going to the third end, I would think.
But if Carl hits and rolls away, I would think you'll see Brad go around that corner. But it's not easy to get rid of the Carl's rock at the back.
Yeah, Carl has to be careful. He can't be tight here. He ticks any of those top red guards there in the rings, and then it's a 2 or 3 score for Brad. So it's not an easy shot here. Second end, Carl deConinck Smith. Jax Robson on the sweep. This is tight. This is tight to the guard.
Gotta get around it. Now they do. Now they curl it. Now you gotta get to it. Oh my goodness.
So an opportunity here for Brad Gushue to set up for a 2 score.
I would think early in the game he'll go to the other side and take his 2.
Yeah, now that top corner was peeled, that redstone's fully exposed, so it's pretty hard for him to go behind and not leave a double for Carl deConinck Smith. So take what you were given, set up for a 2 spot, and hopefully execute in your last stone. As we wait for Brad to set up, we'll mention a couple of his team sponsors here. Pennacon, Kubota Canada, Maple Leaf Foods, Oxford, Eastlink, Orange Store, Connect Hearing, Hardline Curling, and Ashland Curling Supplies. All those sponsors help these teams get down the highway and across the pond, as the case may be, and curl at a high level for 8 months of the year. First stone for Brad Gushue.
Must be close to the tee line. The sweepers are just cleaning it.
Yeah, they don't want to leave it high and leave Carl a potentially hit and roll buried, so they want to get this deep, and any hit and roll might not even be shot stone.
Yeah, give him a new spot at least. Just control.
I almost said if you throw the same as shot a button.
That's what I wanted, and they said 4 feet.
This will be last shot for Carl deConinck Smith. Probably be a little bit more of a control weight, just looking to hit and sit, shot stone, inside edge of the 12-foot, and force Brad Gushue to play in a different path on his last stone for a hit and score for 2.
They switched jackets.
Oh my goodness. That was just for us, wasn't it?
That's good. Oh no. Hey, anybody listening? Take these guys go for back. Swap jackets. They did it on intention. Howard with the second and the second.
A lot of rotation by Carl.
Don't normally see him throwing this side.
Caitlin Dice on the clean.
Oh. That's a finesse shot right there for action you wouldn't see on that side of the ice. This little smile from Scott Howard doing that.
And a little bit either too heavy or too early on the sweep, and that's a rollout. So it'll be a draw for 2 for Brad Gushue on his last shot here in the second end.
It looks like Brad's going to throw on the same spot. He knows the weight from his last one. So.
And it's tough because these guys are so good that Carl's trying to I mean, a nose hit's a good shot, but it would just leave Brad the same path. So what he's trying to do is make it as difficult as he can on former world and Olympic champion to roll a little bit of ways, and he just rolled too far. But it's what you have to do at this level to try to make these guys miss.
Brothers looking to peel this one out of there and roll out. Hammer going into the third.
So Gushue perhaps just testing a different path here.
Not much there. He makes it.
Pretty near where he threw his first one though, and looks like the same result.
Looks like
Slides
a
it
good
into
draw.
the
T-line for
white.
2. So at second end was Brad Gushue with the Red Stones scoring 2, and after 2 ends of play, it is Gushue 2, deConinck Smith 1.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Welcome back to the Astec Safety Challenge in Lloydminster at the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Center. We are here with this feature game is Gushue and deConinck Smith. And Brad Gushue scored 2 with the hammer in the second end to go up 2-1.
And then his wide draw, just like,
The lead for Team deConinck Smith is young Jax Robson. As we indicated earlier, he's subbing for his dad, Mike Robson, who's out with an injury right now. It's a great opportunity, though, for Jax to play in this event. I believe he's just 15.
Which has got to be a factor for sure at this level of play, but
And that's a pretty good come around.
Yeah, that was a great draw behind the center guard ahead of the tee line. So Gushue team will try to come down and freeze to it.
This event, a few changes from last year for anyone who was watching online or perhaps was at the event. There's new lighting in the arena, which I think has provided a big change. There's a lot less shadowing. Not that it was bad before, but completely new lighting throughout from the city of Lloydminster. And the event itself has 2 large TVs on sheets 1 and 8 showing the replays and the coverage that you see at home or wherever you're watching. They're seeing that in the arena as well for these 2 covered games. So that was a good come around by Jeff Walker, just tapped that yellow rock out. Carl deConinck Smith asking Jax Robson to just make a little tap and roll, hit and roll. And I'd say we have 80 to 100 spectators here in the arena, sitting on sheets 1 and 8 between the Arby's fan zone and the MNP lounge, which is good to see. There'll certainly be additional people sitting upstairs where we are behind the glass and downstairs behind the glass that you might see. So it's a well-attended event last year, and we anticipate that it'll be greatly attended again this year.
deConinck Smith's lead made a nice hit and stick, and so they're sitting 2 at this time.
Attendance will probably also be helped by the fact that we're about 45 or 50 degrees warmer this year than we were last year. For anyone that was in attendance, it got below minus 40 for a few of the nights here, and I think it was a bit of a surprise for some of these teams. But most of them have come back that were invited, so obviously that didn't deter them.
always something. Howard.
Just a wonderful shot by Brennan Botcher. Perfect hit and roll behind the center guard.
Just keep the shooter around.
Kids firing, he says.
Is that what you said? Okay. Don't have to be in the rings, just have to roll aside a little.
So you hear third Ryan Dice just communicating. They
No,
just
that's
want
good,
to
Kevin.
hit that center guard, not peel it out, but they want to leave their shooter perhaps as a corner guard off to the side, use later on in the end.
I was thinking the same thing.
Soft weight here by Kalen Dice.
I'm sure he was looking to get a little bit, but they haven't seemed to be able to hit the run backs as consistent as you might see.
And removes that center line guard. Left the corner guard, or center guard there, excuse me, so potentially something for Brad to use.
That rock did curl up, but Carl did indicate that it was a little softer weight than he expected, so.
Yeah, that rocket curled, I think, on him on the first end, too, so it might be something they watch. I know Ryan typically knows which rocks curl and don't curl, although the rocks were touched up, so that doesn't impact it as much as they normally would for a club play.
Some people saying they can definitely hear the skips. They love the commentary. They love the streaming. Yeah, this is a world-class thing here.
I think the call here was just for a hit and roll away.
Ian and I are just a couple of local curlers saying, hey, we love the game. We want to come commentate. So
Yeah, I think even if it sat on the edge, I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Mark Nichols on the sweep here. And they just got it by both rocks. It actually worked out really well for them. As you watch the highlight. Feathered their rock in the rings. Oh, there was a good 3/4 of an inch there. Great shot.
He's going to make Carl run it back to clean things up.
Run back here from deConinck Smith second, Caitlin Dice. Here in the third end.
Yeah, that's really a redemption from some of the shots previous ends here because he was probably fighting it a
It's
little
close.
bit.
It's a good shot. It's still usable as a corner.
The way it did. Good for their confidence.
yeah, they were in a bit of a spot there. That was a must.
Now we might see a game of cat and mouse with center guards going up until a double peel is made. As Mark Nichols throws this guard, we'll go around the rink real quick just to update on a couple scores. In the third end, after 2, it's Libas 2, return as 1. Libas has the hammer. On sheet 3, it's White 1, Jacques 0, and Jacques has the hammer. Our sheet's Gushue 2, deConinck Smith 1, deConinck Smith with the hammer. Our other televised game is Howard 1, Carruthers 0. Carruthers has the hammer. Sheet 6, Balance 1, Jacobs 0. Jacobs has the hammer. And then sheet 7, Dunstone 2, Tau 0. Tau with the hammer. So that was a good guard by Mark Nichols. He maybe would have wanted it 3 or 4 feet heavier, but it works out.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit longer, and with the curl that there is on the ice, and Carl's going to try to come down and bump those back and sit top 4. Probably be shot if he can make this.
Rock on the way from Ryan Dice. Lead Jax Robson on the sweep. This is close. Rubs the guard.
Seemed to move more than they expected, I think, because they weren't really jumping on to sweep at the start.
Yeah, they weren't overly concerned about the line off of the release, so perhaps that rock just curled on him.
Mark Nichols is going to replace that guard. I'm sure they'll try to get it probably within 3 or 4 feet of the rings to block off both edges of the rock.
Oh, Mark Nichols said this picked, and it's just come to a grind.
Yeah, And that one really came down quick, so.
Just made it over the hog line, so that picked up some debris on the ice.
Yep.
Maybe a bit of a break for Carl deConinck Smith.
Gives Carl's third Ryan a chance to, probably even if he noses it and maybe flops a little bit to the left, he could be partly buried.
Yeah, with the amount this curls, if they threw normal and crossed the face, they could even roll away behind that corner. This has got a curl, though, to remove both. It's curling up nice. Good double takeout. Yeah, Carl was stuck in no man's land. I think he could have hit that perhaps a hair thinner and left the red one behind the yellow. And of course, if it curls a little bit more, he could have got the roll behind the guard, and they were just in between those two. Still a good shot.
So there's a chance now for Gushue to hit and roll behind that long center, but like I said, it is a long rock, and I'm sure Carl can chase it if he does make the perfect roll.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see Gushue make any mistake like rolling too far, rolling out. They'll want to keep the pressure on without giving any freebies.
I don't mind that play. What else you do? You draw behind the yellow. There's that guard there. There's a lot of space. Brothers can come down on it. I don't mind.
Brad Gushue's first rock here in the third end.
This is the kind of shot that I would ask our skip to play. Seems like
10 exactly.
He rolls away. So the comment you heard from Ryan Dice was that Carl could probably hit that red one that Gushue just threw and roll away, if you will, underneath those yellow corner guards. It's a bit of a mistake from Brad Gushue. I think he would have liked to have rolled to the center, keep everything behind the center guard.
Yeah, it's probably giving Carl the best chance to get something hidden with where he did roll to. If Brad had rolled completely behind, he may have followed down to it and tried to freeze on it. But either way, I guess, you know, Brad is trying to keep Carl to one, and if he doesn't make a good shot here, then it's going to be hard to force him to take one. He'll probably end up blanking the end.
First shot for skip Carl deConinck Smith here in the third end. Astec safety challenge against the reigning Canadian champion, Brad Gushue. Rock on and away. Calls for a soft weight hit and roll behind the corner guard. He's close. Jax Robson's working on it.
Trying to keep it from jamming on the...
And that really seemed to run straight for him. Maybe it was a little warm. And that's a tough miss because it gives Brad Gushue a free draw behind a guard. And if it's executed well, it's probably a force.
And it looks like Brad wants to try to put it just top 8 foot to try to keep it as close to the long guard as he can, and it'll make it a little tougher for Carl to come around it.
They know this side of the ice. I think they threw it for the first 4 or 5 rocks in the first end, so they obviously are comfortable with this in-turn, as you will, going away in the third end, and that's the turn they want to throw here and just try to tuck a corner and make Carl make a shot in his last one.
Yeah, maybe a few concerns with the third rock picking coming up short here, but as long as they keep things clean, they shouldn't have that issue.
Last rock for Brad Gushue here in the third end.
Howard with his final stone.
Line's a little tight.
Hear the call from Mark Nichols.
Just right here.
Just wants the top rings, or it's going to come out the other side.
Just in. Just let it stop.
As the rock comes to a stop, top 12, just fighting top 8, but it does poke out the other side, probably a third of a stone.
15-1? What you have? Okay.
And you hear them calling out the times, 14-8, 15-1. That's hog line to hog line tee times. So that's fairly quick ice in terms of ice that curls this much. That's fairly speedy in terms of the draw weight. But gives Carl an opportunity to blank this end.
Like, we had more of the center line before it picked.
Are they deciding to take a point or go for another blank and head to end 4?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So I mean, the team talks about it and goes, if we miss this, they steal 1. Now we're down 2-0.
Looks good out of his hand. Sweep by Jax Robson. By the guard.
Gonna have to go on it to roll it out.
Too tight to the guard. So a bit of a mistake, forced to 1, but it's a score of 1 for Carl deConinck Smith, and after 3 ends of play, this score is tied 2-2. We'll be back for the 4th shortly.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Welcome back to Draw 2 of the Astec Safety Challenge in Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. The game you are viewing here is the Gushue deConinck Smith game. The score is tied 2-2 after a score of 1 from Carl deConinck Smith in the 3rd end, playing the 4th. The other game available to you on Curling Zone, the Lloydminster Curling Club's YouTube channel, or TELUS Optic, is the Howard Carruthers game.
That one still bit on you. That one bit on you a little. I didn't.
Start the 4th end. deConinck's lead. Jax has thrown up a guard just off the center line, but the weight was good. It just needed to curl another couple inches.
And they are playing with the tick rule, I believe, so that yellow guard can be ticked. I don't think you'll see it here, but for those unfamiliar, they've instituted a tick rule, which is to say that any rock that is touching the center line cannot be ticked off. That tick shot's made by the top leads in the world so easily. So to try to generate more rocks and play more scoring, they instituted that rule. Because that yellow rock is not touching the center line, it can be ticked. And I don't know if you heard earlier, Ryan Dice was talking to Carl deConinck Smith after Jax Robson's first one, and he talked about it curling up a little bit more than they expected. Carl's last stone there in the 3rd end, so I think he said it bit. So perhaps the rocks are been sharpened, touched up before the event, and it's just catching them a little bit right now.
I was thinking the same thing when we tightened it up. I was like, I think this is going to run down the line.
Jax Robson with a hit here, and I think he just got that going a bit. Ryan Dice trying to save it on the sweep.
Charles says you don't have to play at their level. Everybody curls 100% behind the window. I think that's awesome. Anybody can sit back here and say, I can make that shot 10 times out of 10. Until you're actually on the ice with everybody watching, a different story.
So an opportunity for Gushue to lay an early 2. Use that corner guard that was just generated. I think we heard Mark Nichols talk about guarding the red one, but Brad's electing to perhaps play it a little safer and go behind the corner.
Sweepers are trying to get this one to move over a bit to get partly behind that guard. The weight looks very close.
Yeah, early observations seem to be that it curls a little bit more coming from the wing to center line than it does going from center line out. That rock really didn't finish like you'd see it coming across center. So something to watch.
Jax Robson, who is a high schooler playing on this team right now. Very cool. Back to our sheet. Brothers and Howard. Down to ice level with the call. Gotta get there.
So the hit called for second Kalen Dice. Sweep held that there nicely. That's a great shot.
Good roll. It's going to make him try to hit, roll back behind that corner again, but it would give a chance to set up a double.
Yeah, Gushue's not even going to mess around with an in-turn hit. He's just going to run his own back sort of with a soft weight hit. Hopefully get some separation on those rocks. If you look at Brendan Botcher throwing his first stone here in the fourth end.
That's exactly where you wanted that one, Ian.
So they're grouped together here, and it's an opportunity for Carl deConinck Smith to make a double and clean up the end early on here.
I think you were saying it as you were letting it go for sure.
Why is this rock not falling?
Hard. I'm not fixing this. You're fixing it. I thought we might do that as it was coming over to hog on it.
I think the goal is to leave their shooter in the rings for
Go the other
sure.
way?
Even if they don't necessarily make the double, I think they would like to keep a rock there that Gushue's got to play with. This is curling hard.
Kalen may have got that one going a little bit because it seemed to be moving right after the release.
Yeah, right out of his hand, the call was made for sweep. So it's tough. He made a great shot in his first one to group them, and Brendan Botcher did leave them grouped. And then when you don't make that second shot to make that double or position, it's against these top guys. It can be tough later on in the end.
Listening to Carruthers and Campbell Schneider here.
14-6 here.
One thing that we do notice with the Astec challenge.
Second opportunity to go behind that corner guard.
They're working on this one.
Yeah, this doesn't look like it's T-line for sure. It's short.
Might get it to the rings, but that's going to be about it if it gets there.
A good sweep by Nichols and Walker, just biting.
There's a chance to double them out if Ryan Dice can hit that probably 3/4 on the outside.
I always go by the color.
I guess there's a question a bit on the ice as to whether it's in or not. I think Carl's playing like it is. Third Ryan Dice, his first stone of the end. Run back here. His brother Kalen on the sweep. Pretty well executed shot. Acknowledged by Brad Gushue and Mark Nichols. Gets the team out of trouble, certainly.
Nice shot.
They had to hit it high and almost remove that corner guard. If they'd have nosed it and left it there, I think you'd have just seen Brad go behind what would then be a double corner and have even more trouble for Carl deConinck Smith, but it's nice and open right now for him. Brad Gushue's got the hammer here in the fourth end. Mark Nichols' first stone of the end.
I think he wants to just hit and sit right there, make it a little bit thinner double, but that worked too for him.
Plan B, that worked out well. There's a thin double.
He may even just play to hit and sit in front of it.
So there's the thin double. You could hit the high one in the 8 foot and roll in front of the one on the button. And the third option, which they're electing to do, is hit the one on the button and roll behind the red. I think the thought process being Brad then has to make a short run back, and if it's not executed properly, it groups them together for Carl's first shot. This rock, they called the sweep out of his hand, so I don't think he's rolling too far. It's a nose hit, though, so Brad has to roll away with it. He can't just sit there and still leave a double. But if the roll away is made, then the double becomes a lot harder for Carl, and he'll probably only get one shot at it.
Sorry there, Carl. Didn't quite get to you.
This one looks very close. They're sweeping a little bit to try to get it to move off that center.
And he threw the out turn across the face, which would have had a flatter roll and leaves less of a double. But the double is there.
Carl can throw big weight, so I'm quite sure thought is that if he hits 3/4 of this, both rocks will go.
Not too much on the live chat.
So an opportunity here in end 4 for Carl deConinck Smith to make a double and potentially get out of this end with a blank.
That is an interesting part of today.
His first stone of the end. P08 on the way. Must be close. And touches both. Makes the double, rolls out. Great shot by Carl deConinck Smith.
That's probably the only real way you're going to get the double. You're going to probably have to roll out.
As you hear third Ryan Dice. Tell him it's a good shot.
Toss.
Much better audio when he's yelling at his team. Yeah. The other.
See Brad Gushue draw to the wings here. Earlier on, drawing from the wings to the middle, it seemed to really curl. So we'll just see whether this rock curls as much or perhaps maybe a little straighter.
Then see what he does, and then you can toss a high guard after, right?
He's coming around. I'll just
okay, 1-1 game. Low scoring thus far.
Go high guard.
Brendan Botcher, Jeff Walker on the sweep.
They just want this anywhere in the rings to make Carl shoot at it.
It's close.
Split the tee line, pretty good weight. Carl deConinck Smith for his last one here. He'll look to nose or just roll away and make Brad Gushue throw a different path for his blank.
Now we've got some options for Scott Howard. Double is in play there, Ian.
Coming with a little bit more weight.
From the hack, Carl deConinck Smith, his last rock in the fourth end.
They want to stick around.
Lead Jax Robson on the sweep.
Came across on the opposite angle. We're going to get rid of there.
And nose hit. Good shot.
That'll leave Brad Gushue the hit and roll out to blank this end.
And I think both teams will still be happy. There were a few misses early on from deConinck Smith, potentially an opportunity for Gushue to set up 2. But there was a good hit and roll by Kalen Dice, and then again by Ryan Dice with a run back to group those stones and set it up for Carl to make that double on his first one to get out of this with a blank. So I think both teams will be relatively happy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Last shot, Brad Gushue, 4th end. Blank is made. Remains 2-2 after 4 ends of play.
The official soundtrack to Canada's only border city, 1061, The GOAT. Stay connected with mylloydminsternow.com. The GOAT. Everything that rocks. 1061, The GOAT.
Welcome back to the Astec Safety Challenge. Draw 2 here, game versus Brad Gushue and Carl deConinck Smith. First game for both teams of this event. And after 4 ends of play, we are all tied 2-2. It will be Brad Gushue with the hammer with the Red Rocks playing 5th end. But the only thing that's changed is, although Carl deConinck Smith started with the hammer in the first end, he is now without playing 5.
And as you said, Ryan, both teams will be happy at this situation. You know, Carl's playing top team from Briar last year in Canada and is tied up going into the last half of the game. And for Brad, you know, like you said, they started without the hammer. They've got it going into the last half of the game. So, yeah, I'm sure both teams are happy with what's going on so far.
And it's 2 experienced skips, so their first game of the event, they both sort of feeling out the ice and getting a gauge for how it's curling. They've had practice opportunities, but certainly they haven't gone with a lot of rocks in play or a lot of guards in play, as they're playing a little bit conservatively, I would suggest. Second stone from deConinck Smith lead Jax Robson, local high school student, getting an opportunity to play in this event in place of his dad.
Looks like it's a great stone. He's freezing right on the nose of the Gushue stone.
Yep, those are 2 great shots from Jax. He made a good center guard to split the center line, and then good come around on top of that Gushue stone.
Double, nose, you're going to clear some granite. Your shot rock's going to stick around. Ideally here we want some movement. Get rid of some yellow.
Yeah, you're going to want to see it off. See something.
The call from Brad Gushue is for Jeff Walker to just come around. Those top 12 stones. I think this looks tight.
Yeah.
Tight and a little light.
So 14-9, so it's probably like 14-3 over here.
Here Ryan Dice with the call for the ice, 14-9. So out wider, it's perhaps a little bit slower. He said 14-3. Those are hog-to-hog times. An opportunity here, if they can bury one, to put a little pressure on Brad Gushue. I think if you see that buried, you'll see Brad walk up and peel that center guard.
You don't want to leave him the triple.
You're going to have to go on this one. It looks a little bit light.
Over 900 people watching.
From the first 4 ends, it looks like that ice is, I won't say dish, but it definitely curls a little harder from outside in for these players, certainly. The inside out draws going behind those wide corner guards seem to have run a little straighter. They didn't necessarily bury, so something to keep an eye on. Now the opportunity goes back to Team Gushue and Brendan Botcher to go behind that guard, put some pressure on.
Said not heavy, so they're on this one right away.
You know what? I didn't know that he was.
And they're sweeping it the whole way. I think it's by the yellow guard, but the ones in the rings might be.
Evan with the shout out on the stream. Thanks, man.
But not
No, he just texted me.
Still a little light, I think. I don't think they were more than top 8 there. No harm, though. It doesn't hurt them at all. They didn't come up really short and create a mess up front.
Looking to impact 3 Carruthers stones.
For those just joining, it's Carl deConinck Smith with yellow and Brad Gushue with red. deConinck Smith second, Kalen Dice with his second stone of the end.
Even a nose hit here will give Carl kind of control of that 4-foot area on that side, so I'm sure he'd be happy with that.
Ryan Dice on the sweep, looking to get to nose. Didn't quite get there, so there's an opportunity here for Brad Gushue to either straight draw or a little hit and roll.
Reed's just put enough rocks in play here. Is going to probably force Howard to take his one.
So, the tail of the tape so far, Ian, is the team without hammer has been kind of controlling these ends.
Putting a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Look for a little bit of team discussion here between Brad Gushue and Brendan Botcher.
But that's the case so far in this game. As we look to the final 2 stones in the 4th. Brothers with his last.
Maybe a chance of almost doubling the yellows out of there, or poking that one out in the open and leaving the 3 reds in behind cover.
Yeah, the yellow rock that Jax Robson threw in there is in a good spot right now for deConinck Smith, potentially later on in the end. So I think Brad might want to reorganize things, but looks to me like they're just drawing.
Looks like a straight draw through the hole.
Just a couple more feet. Yeah. Like, no.
So Howard opts for a easy hit and roll is what I'm reading from him. As we take a second look at this earlier shot.
It's all there.
I think the early call was it's all there for weight. See Mark Nichols' hand up that it's heavy.
Looks like it might be on that yellow also.
Yeah, it's not curling. It's definitely going to hit that yellow.
Howard with his final stone in the 4th.
His weight was close. It just never moved
That
like they
rock-
expected.
Yeah, that rock really didn't curl. It wasn't, I don't think, back 8 heavy because it only tapped that yellow a couple feet. So,
But it is still sitting in a good spot for the Gushue team, and Carl has to decide whether he has to move on it or try to bump his own yellow in behind.
yeah, I think in this situation, in the 5th end, I don't know if you can bail, but you might be looking to advance one of your yellow center stones up and maybe remove a red. I don't think it's gambling time yet where you're trying to steal and put some pressure on these guys. It's only the 5th end. Maybe the 7th end you look to come around or something like that. But in this 5th end, I don't think you want to gamble and potentially give up a crooked number, 3 or 4.
Might be looking at this coming around to the back of the 4-foot.
Yeah, that's the call.
Yeah, something like that.
Although Botcher missed that shot, it still worked out really well for them because it's a control stone in front of that yellow that can be easily advanced and not easily removed by the deConinck Smith team. So I think that's why they're not coming around this way. Third Ryan Dice with his first stone. Here in the fifth end.
2-1 for Howard over Carruthers after 4, and over to Ian with a quick
working it all
Sweep
the way
the whole
down
way,
there.
so they think they're close for weight.
Yeah, we haven't touched on sheet 7 or 6. I don't think yet.
It's a pretty good shot.
But Team Dunstone is playing Team Tau, and they're up 4.
And it's deConinck Smith laying 1 with a good draw, good team shot there. Actually don't know if their second shot or if that red stone.
I thought earlier the red was second, but
obviously on our side, 2-1 for Howard. And Ian, what's the Gushue and local curling club?
I think Gushue's so happy with this though because those reds are lined up to go back into where that yellow is now. So he's content just freezing down and getting into this aggressive game with a lot of rocks in play.
Hanging in there against Gushue. Jacques and White's up 1-0 there, and Turnas and Levis tied in
Mark Nichols, first stone of the fifth end.
stream 2 of those games right now. Curling Zone, the Lloyd Curling Club YouTube page, or Telesoccer TV. Gushue
Just looking to freeze straight down.
looks very close.
Looks close. I think it's going to curl a bit.
Yeah, I just happened to
That's a bit of a miss.
Yeah, it is.
taking his first shot of the
Opportunity here for Carl deConinck Smith. Whether it's a soft weight tap or a freeze to put some pressure on Gushue.
pretty amazing shot, so I get to see some bonus curling just below my vantage point.
6 inches heavy and just a hair wider combination of those two, but that's certainly a miss because he would have rather been in front of that Yellowstone overlapping, and it's not, the Yellowstone's not even behind the red, so an opportunity here for Carl deConinck Smith.
Carl did point to push it through the rings, so I'm sure he'd like to flop a half a rock or 3/4 of a rock to the inside.
Yeah, I know his hits here is no good. They have to roll under. Carl on the sweep. It must be close. He yelled hard. It's got to curl a bit. It's a pretty good shot. I don't know if the double on the yellows is there. Pretty well executed though. And you might not be able to see at home, but that redstone didn't even leave play, so they're just throwing a down weight, not even a hack, just a back line that they can maneuver those stones without a lot of movement. And you heard Ryan Dice say that to Carl, that's why I didn't overthrow it.
It's like third for Gushue. Mark Nichols is going to try the skinny double here.
The high hard one. Sweep from Jeff Walker. And the double's made. And as good as that stone was thrown by Ryan Dice, these great shot by Mark Nichols and a double made. Still the opportunity to be the first one buried and keep the pressure on Brad Gushue here. I guess to keep an eye on it because I don't know if Carl's thrown many draws yet this game.
No, he hasn't thrown too many. Adam hitting pretty near everything, every end. The pressure's been on him. So.
It looks so good the whole way.
Fifth end without the hammer. First shot for Carl deConinck Smith. Looking to make an out-turn draw buried around the center.
Looks like lots of room out there, but
The call is that it's light. think they got shot rock.
May be able to hit the yellow and tap the red sideways.
Yeah.
You're never going across the top of it. Probably the best shot, isn't it?
So the call, I think.
I agree. As long as you move it, as long as you don't swing it.
I think to do that, slide two, I think you gotta move it. Throw it nice, Carl.
Yeah, I think the line was a good shot for Carl. It was his first draw, so the risk certainly was going deep, and it's not in a bad spot.
It's going to make Brad play the rock,
Yeah.
I'm quite sure.
You couldn't be deep there.
He does have an option of playing his own red back on the other side, but it still leaves that rock for Carl, the one he just threw, to play back.
Yeah, the reward here for Brad Gushue, what you hear Mark Nichols talking about, is if he can hit that yellow, say half on the inside, and kick his red stone sideways into the other yellow, he could lay two and free up that yellow stone that's top 12, but more importantly, lay two later in the end.
After the discussion, it looks like that's what they're going to play.
First stone for Brad Gushue here in the fifth end with the hammer. Shots on the way, up weight, out turn hit. He's close. It's a pretty good shot. Well executed shot there. See that again. Jeff Walker on the sweep. Move the yellow stone, kick the red sideways into it. Pretty good result.
Carl could possibly make a quarter rock double and be sitting two if you can peel them both out. It's kind of a risk reward one. If he makes it, he's sitting two and forces one. If he misses it, he does probably give up two, but it won't be more than that.
Made a double last end on his first stone to get the team out of trouble. Opportunity here to make another double and force if the double's made. It's also the best way to keep it from scoring three, too. Last rock on the way from Carl deConinck Smith here in the fifth end. It's the call.
Nice try.
So the opportunity.
One, just past the back one, but we'll leave Gushue a draw for two.
That was a good end back and forth here. Both teams had opportunities to set up for Gushue with a multiple, and certainly deConinck Smith the opportunity potentially to make Gushue face something difficult, which he did in his first stone. He had to make a good shot. And the reward for that for Brad Gushue is a fairly simple draw for two. Just needs to bite the 8-foot.
I think so far Brad is 100% on his draws, so I'm sure this one will be where they want it.
Final stone, fifth end, Brad Gushue with the hammer, looking to draw and score his deuce. I think the guys like it because they're just cleaning. Fairly routine draw for these guys. It's a score of 2 for Brad Gushue, and after 5 ends of play, it's Gushue 4, deConinck Smith 2. We'll be back with the 6th end in a few moments.
At It's Time Promotions, we make your brand stand out. From custom apparel made with precision, to headwear that puts your brand front and center, and vinyl decals that make your brand stick. We deliver promotional materials and print solutions that leave a lasting impression. With locations in Lloydminster and Provost, we proudly ship Canada-wide. It's Time Promotions, where your brand comes to life.
Like people, businesses have their journey, their path, sometimes straight, but more often evolving, growing, and adapting to a changing world, creating the need for knowledge in areas like accounting, consulting, tax, technology, areas critical to your continued growth and success. All part of the journey, all part of what we do together with you. Because your success is the destination. MNP, wherever business takes you.
Welcome back to the Astec Safety Challenge here in Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. My name is Ryan Armstrong. I'm here with Monty Armstrong, providing you commentating for our second draw. The game is Gushue and deConinck Smith. Gushue just scored 2 and is up 4-2, playing the 6th end. As we take a brief run around the rink, on the sheet 2, Libas is up 3-2 on Returnaz, playing the 6th end. Returnaz has the hammer. Jocks and White are still playing the 5th end. It's tied 1-1. Skipping over our game, the other televised game is Howard and Carruthers. It's 2-1 for Howard. They're playing the 5th. Sheet 6, it's Jacobs up 4-3 against Balance after a steal of 2 in the 4th end, and Jacobs has the hammer, playing 6. And on sheet 7, Dunstone has scored 1 and stolen each of the following ends and is up 4-0 after 4, playing the 5th end against Tau.
Our 5th end has started with lead throwing a top 4-foot shot, and the lead for deConinck Smith throwing up a corner guard, so Carl does want to try to get something going here. So he's hoping to get a few corner guards up and put something behind and make Brad chase them.
Yeah, Carl's really going to want to score 2 here, tie that up, push to 7. Certainly any score less. Well, he'd love to score more, but if he scored less, the potential then is for that Gushue team to start blasting, which is certainly their forte with the 3 players they've got at second, third, and skip, particularly Mark Nichols. Mark made a wonderful double in the last end after a good shot by Ryan Dice to lay 2 partially buried. So.
And Carl's lead, Jacks, has thrown up another corner guard, so they are getting some things going.
Yeah, those are 2 great corner guards. They're not going to be easy to double later on.
I like it.
24 teams in this event. It's triple knockout, and top 8 teams qualify. So there's 3 qualifiers in the A. And some of the best teams in the world at this event. In case in point, you've got Gushue, 3rd ranked team in the world. I believe Mowat's one of the top ranked teams in the world. They played earlier this morning. And Brad Jacobs is out there, and they're top 3, top 5 in the world. So 6 of the top 10 teams, I believe, of the world at least here. And it's an opportunity for a couple of these local teams, including Carl deConinck Smith's team, to butt heads with former Canadian World Olympic champion like Brad Gushue.
A little more. Just wait.
Brad has thrown up another center guard, so he's going to make Carl move something in order to open up the foot a little bit.
They just come down like.
Yeah, some of the commentary between ends, and then again from Mark Nichols, I think they're getting a little bit tricked from the ice. I think the comment was that as it gets across that 4-foot line, it really starts to grind a little bit, and and dig in. So something to watch, maybe between the 4-foot lines. It's, I won't say a little bit slushy, but perhaps a little bit slower between those lines. It's something to watch in the later ends of a game. The ice has been great thus far.
Kalen's been asked to just play quiet weight and bump the Gushue rock back and promote his own into the rings.
Yeah, they're not peeling. They're trying to always make something out of every one of these shots. He's going to still get something out of this, too. It looks like it'll spin into the rings, so. Wasn't what was called, but it still works out for them.
I left both rocks in play and one of them in the rings, so it's making Brad go after the one in the rings.
Brendan Botcher's second rock of the end. Seemed to curl out here earlier, so see what this does. Jeff Walker indicates the weight's a little up. Mark Nichols on the sweep. Oh, and this is a really good shot. Great 6-foot hit and roll behind center by Brendan Botcher. And this is what these top teams do, is when they get a lead, they really make you chase. They're not going to give you an opportunity to go behind those corners openly. They're going to stack a couple rocks up behind the center guard and force you to play their game.
Carl does have an opportunity to possibly get rid of all 3 Gushue stones, but would still give Gushue something to draw behind.
Potential triple takeout on the way. Kalen Dice. It's close.
That's fine.
And it's a good shot. Opens up the top 4 and moves that center star.
Left his rock there to promote later if it's required.
In fact, even the one that rolled out in the wings gives him an opportunity to hit and roll in off of it later. So triple's not made, but there's definitely a lot more options than there were a minute ago. Gushue will look to replace that with Brad Nichols' first, or Mark Nichols' first stone. This straw is hanging out there.
Moving now, it's going
That's a good shot.
there, exactly where Brad called it. So
separation between those rocks in the rings, that the one top 12 and now the one back 4, it makes it less likely that you make a run double.
Center. Center. Yeah.
Carl had considered that wide in-turn draw to the back, but is electing to play the run back again.
I think he has to make some room to try to get 2 stones in there. So
yeah, if they can hit this just across the face on the left-hand side of it as you look at it, it's an opportunity to make the double and be buried. It's a good shot. They would have liked to have stuck that one top 12 and potentially been second shot. The hole is a little smaller for Mark to draw through now. They might come back the in turn, I don't know.
Give you the same weight?
He's having Mark play the same draw, probably to the top 8. Put it behind that yellow so that run back isn't there.
Yeah.
Walker and Botcher on the sweep. Nichols' last stone of the end. This looks to be a little less. And he's a little light and tight.
Lucked the hole, but still left Ryan the run back, or he could come off that side one, as you mentioned earlier, Ryan, and possibly roll to that shot rock.
Yeah, bit of an opportunity, a bit of an opening here for Carl deConinck Smith, last third stone. The question is whether you hit and roll or you in turn draw. I think Carl likes the draw.
Carl's looking at that draw.
It's probably a higher percentage shot. I think this late in the end, you want to get shot stone one way or the other. And there hasn't been as much played on that side of the ice, certainly coming home, and I think that's what's driving the call here, which is a tap back for Ryan Dice. Just looking to get it in the 4-foot, ideally be shot.
The tap back's a good shot, but you have to have the perfect line, because if you're an inch off either direction, there's a chance that one you're promoting doesn't get shot. So
I think this is close. Ryan's really good at these. He's good at these long taps. He's out here often practicing them just like that.
Yeah.
Looks like he's shot stone.
And it is shot.
That's a great shot. Especially where it finished up, because now if Gushue wants to play the run back, he's got to navigate his redstone back 4. So that's an excellent shot by Ryan Dice and puts the pressure on.
I was thinking, like,
after
I said,
Pushing these guys to think, which is good.
yeah, backing. But
I don't think
They have not backed down yet.
you're never going through there.
We got shot, eh?
I think normal. Just play the role.
Well, that's a good thing.
As Ryan Dice just indicated, the fact that it maybe over-curled a fraction of an inch was a good thing, because it tapped that yellow where you can't promote that red guard to run it back into the yellow without the danger of jamming it on that back red one. So that's driven the decision here by Brad Gushue to hit and roll.
Yeah, if it was straight back, Brad would have a fairly easy angle run back. Easy for these guys.
Yeah, I think curling fans take for granted how easy they make these run backs, but it certainly isn't easy, as most of the club curlers out there can confess. First skip stone of the end for Brad Gushue. Look at a hit and roll. This is curling hard on him. And a hair thin. Did not get the roll up from his own or the straight hit and roll, so it remains Carl deConinck Smith laying 1. And a bit of a miss. I think the miss probably would have been heavy or thick as opposed to thin, because it leaves a red stone behind that yellow. So the run back's still difficult.
I almost think Carl's going to go with that draw that he indicated that he was looking at having Ryan Dice throw. I don't think he wants to promote that middle one, open up that 4-foot any more than he has to.
Yeah, he could tap the center again to the side and roll his shooter and take away the run back. He could do that. The draw, as you look at it from this angle, isn't an easy draw. The rocks curl a lot, so you don't have to be tight to that red corner guard as they look at it. I think the concern they have is that they have not thrown that path coming home a lot, that in-turn draw coming home.
It risks that, right? Okay, yeah.
So 6th end.
So you're looking at promoting the outside yellow back?
Well, if you don't do it, Gushue might do it. there's not a lot of risk for Brad Gushue to do that.
Okay. I think you could go even a hair more there. No.
So I think the call is to tap it 2/3, maybe half, and promote it across the center line into the 4-foot.
Yeah, I think he just wants to move it back to get second shot with it.
But he can't tap it to his own, I don't think, to the face of his own and get second shot.
Doesn't look like a lot of ice to play a bump. He's moving it out now, taking a little bit more ice.
Carl's have run a little bit straighter, I've seen too, it looks like, compared to perhaps the rest of the team. He's got a good positive release for this type of ice conditions. First stone in the 6th end with hammer, Carl deConinck Smith. Top weight shot. I think they indicated it's heavy. So the plan here is probably to tap it to the side.
It looks close.
It looks a little heavy. Oh. And the goal there, I think, was to catch the yellow, to slow it down. But it's still an excellent shot. 3rd stone buried.
Just a tiny bit. When it hurt heavy, it's like, then we play the crash all day.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was close. We got a piece of it, didn't we?
Yeah, I touched it. Yeah. We touched 4 meter more.
Gushue looking to draw, beat him there. The potential to lay one buried if he can get one in there.
Yeah, I wasn't too concerned about picking us up.
The risk is if he rubs one of those guards and makes the hole easier for Carl to draw for 2 on his last shot. So a little bit of risk reward here, and that's typical for these top end curlers. They're not afraid to take on those shots with the opportunity to potentially create a steal or certainly a force if he can well execute a draw.
I don't think he wants to play with anything on the other side because he could set up a potential 3 if things didn't work out. Brad Gushue's last rock on N6 is on the way.
It's got to curl a long way. It's coming, but I don't know if it's gonna. But they didn't open it up, so it'll only be a tap.
For the same weight on it?
Minimum weight, I think. And that's minimum.
So no open draw. It's a tap back here for Carl deConinck Smith. Probably just for 2. They can elect to either tap it into the across the face of their own yellow, straight tap it to the top of the button, or if it curls up, they would tap it to the red one, which would be difficult, but it's doable. I don't think you'll see them throw big enough weight to make the 3, because by doing that, they could almost give up one by throwing that weight. So I think you'll see a conservative weight here, a thin tap at the top for potential 2 score. Last shot, 6th end, Carl deConinck Smith. Calling the sweep. This rock's curling. No, over curled.
Just came off the hill a little better there.
So it's a score of 1 for Carl deConinck Smith, and after 6 ends, it is 4-3 for Brad Gushue.
Ben, what's the Astec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be AstecSafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Astec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Astec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
And we are back live at the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Center for the Astec Safety Challenge. Second draw of this event. First game for all these teams on the ice. Your feature game is Brad Gushue versus Carl deConinck Smith. And deConinck Smith scored 1 in the 6th end to make it 4-3 after 6 ends of play. Whether you're watching on TELUS Optic TV, the Lloydminster Curling Club YouTube channel, or Curling Zone, we welcome you to this event. It's its second year, and it was highly successful in the first year, and we're looking to a great week of curling here at the Astec Safety Challenge here in 2025.
Line's good. Line's good.
First rock of this 7th end was started with a center guard just off center line by Carl's lead, Jax Robson.
See Jeff Walker with the come around, top 8.
Tight 3.
For Carl, they're going to want a lot of separation between those two center guards. Maybe thinking potential steal, but certainly at worst a force to 1 here in the 7th end, and an opportunity potential with the hammer and 8. It's been a fairly well-curled game for both teams. First game of the event for both, so getting a feel for the ice. Second center guard in play. What these top teams seem to do so well is they know that there's going to be a little bit of pressure coming from the deConinck Smith team and trying to either force or generate a steal, and so they typically position their rocks very well in the 4-foot, and if things look good they'll guard, and if things don't look good they'll peel early and force a blank and have hammer coming home. Brad Gushue, I think, would be happy with either scenario, a blank or a 2.
That's right, and of course you set up that situation by putting these rocks like Jeff Walker has here. First one, top 8-foot.
We gotta go.
Second one, he
Last
wants
one
to
died.
go partly behind, and right away it forces Carl's front end to make some good shots to follow them down. This one's a little bit deep, so Carl does have a chance to come down and freeze on it.
Yeah, 2 ends ago we heard Ryan Dice say 14-3 was a good draw weight for T-line. And then you just heard him say he got 14 there, which would be hog to hog, and it was a little deep. So the ice seems to be holding up relatively well.
Sorry, Jeff.
And an opportunity for Kalen Dice to freeze one on and put some pressure on Gushue.
The first one really came down. Yeah.
It's close on this one. They're trying to get it to curl a little bit.
Looks a hair warm. Good speed. It curled up at the end.
Brad looks like he's going to clean things up here. He doesn't need all those rocks in play.
Call for Brendan Botcher's the double peel, and if it's well executed, he might even get one of moving in the rings. His first stone at the end. Peel on the way.
Good shot.
Pretty good shot.
Real nice.
No need to promote that yellow one into the rings. They might have liked to move it, but they're pretty happy with that double peel.
Yeah, and I think all Carl can do now is replace that guard and hope to get a mistake somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be a bit of a cat and mouse if the guards are made. I think they'll both be content to throw guards and peel, and someone's going to have to make the first move, either running one into the rings or playing into the house.
Just burnt it. Connor was trying to make a curl and the broom stuck.
Turn tight, turn tight, turn tight, hold up there.
Guard on the way from deConinck Smith, second Kaylin Dice.
Brad steps out. I think he's just going to peel things again. If he can catch the edge of that red in the rings, he'd be happy, but keep the front end opened up.
Yeah, I think the goal for deConinck Smith would be to split center and guard both that red one top 8, but also the yellow one back. The risk, I think, in purely guarding their own yellow is that red top 8 is promotable onto the yellow, so they have to be careful with a wily veteran like Brad Gushue because he could change things up. Another great run back attempt by Brennan Botcher, just missed that red one.
Oh, it's close.
Seventh end action here in the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Center. Third stones, Ryan Dice.
Carl's calling for another center guard. I'm sure he'd like to have it right on center, cover both the red and part of his own rock.
The last one thrown by Kaylin was nice high guard and made that run back tougher for Brennan Botcher. This looks to be similar distance.
Oh, you're far off. Just make a little move. Do you like nose in the yellow here?
It's a good stone.
Like they're going to play a nose hit on the yellow and spill the red yellow out of the rings.
7-8 tie and it spins off. Yeah.
Or are they peeling?
Whoa, whoa. Curl. Yep. Whoa.
Good shot. The choice was to double the rocks in the rings, get rid of some of the trouble. So the discussion between Ryan Dice and Carl deConinck Smith is trying to get a rock buried second, third stone already. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're trying to steal and you give up 3.
Carl's first call was to hit the wide red and roll in behind. It's a very small spot to roll to be hidden.
I see Carl's point. If you corner on top, Gushue probably peels, and then on Carl's first one, he can hit and roll. But you're going to sort of get into a situation where one small miss, and Brad could have an easy shot for 2 or 3. So I think they're cognizant of the scoreboard here. 2 is not the absolute end of the world, even though you're playing a former world Olympic champion. But 3 is almost certainly game over. Last third stone from Ryan Dice. Jax Robson on the sweep. They must be close. Hit and roll. And just needed another foot. Well thrown, Stone. Just didn't get the curl that they thought they might.
It was a little light on my board a few ends ago.
Well, Gushue will have two choices here. It looks like he's probably going to try to hit it and roll back where he was, off to the side.
Yeah, I think Gushue's happy keeping that rock away from center line. Even rolling out here wouldn't be end of the world. That's maybe a bit of a miss.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier hit and roll than it was a stone ago.
Okay. I liked it. I like my throw.
Another opportunity here for Carl deConinck Smith to put some pressure on Brad Gushue. A well-made hit and roll would, I think, certainly see a run back attempt.
Just half when it needed to move, it looked like it was on the nose.
Yeah. We stay on it. It's only rolling a couple inches more. Yeah.
I was just hoping to get an edge on it.
Yeah, I
A
know.
soft weight hit and roll opportunity for Carl deConinck Smith here is for stone in the 7th end. Aztec safety challenge.
It's got to be a little bit there, like.
I think the surface is a little flat, and we welcome you back inside the Lloydminster.
Rock on its way. Lead Jax Robson on the sweep. This one's curling hard. Pretty good hit and roll. Just rolled a foot too far. But a good shot because he's going to force Brad Gushue to play a different turn.
Yeah. Okay, board.
So that was an opportunity maybe missed. It's not a wide open shot here, but certainly it's not buried, and it was a chance there to put some pressure on Gushue and potentially steal or maybe even force, depending on how that rolled. But Gushue can hit and roll away here, and then there's a choice for Carl. Does he concede the 2, or does he try to make a draw and force things?
Whoa!
Brad's rock's on the way.
Whoa!
Farther sweepers are watching it.
This path had run straighter earlier in the game, 5th end.
Curl!
And you heard Ryan Dice say it tracked, but it stuck and picked and came back in. So, bit fortunate for Brad Gushue.
I think Carl almost has to go for the steal and try to catch the back of the button behind that top red.
Yeah, I think you play the stats. You're down 3 to Brad Gushue in the last end. You're probably not going to make a comeback, or the stats would be low on that. But a good draw here, even if you force to 1 or steal, is a better result than the 2. So you'll see a draw from Carl deConinck Smith if it's well-made shot. Should have an 8th end.
And I agree with you. Like,
We have an early final on sheet 2. Returnez stole 4 in the 7th end. There was a lot of rocks in play early, and so after 7, Returnez wins 8-3. Last rock for team Carl deConinck Smith here in 7. Early sweep. Looks like it's T-line. I don't know if it's going to be deeper than T-line. Great line. Great shot. It's half buried. Shot rock. Probably forces Gushue to pick it out.
Picking that out, he could very easily
Pick his own.
Pick his own out on the side.
Yeah, our normal.
Get his one, but
Is the out turn tap over there the raise?
Okay.
it would be tough.
It'd be for 3, I would think.
I think he'd be happy with 2 here.
This looks like he's trying to keep his shooter. Probably going to see a hack or board weight here, just something soft that they can manage. Push that yellow one out the back and see where the shooter spills. We have a second final on sheet 6. Jacobs over balance, 7-4 after 7 ends. Last rock, Brad Gushue here in 7. Early sweep call by Mark Nichols.
Whoa! Whoa! Curl!
This is hanging on them.
Curl! No.
And that's a miss. And that's a steal of 1 for Carl deConinck Smith. We will have a tie game 4-4 coming home in 8.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice band has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Welcome back to the Astec Safety Challenge here in Draw 2 in sunny Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. We have 8th end action for you between Brad Gushue, reigning Canadian champion, world champion, and Carl deConinck Smith, local team with Ryan Dice, Kaylin Dice, and young Jax Robson throwing lead stones. It's a tie game, 4 all after 7. A bit of a miss on the last rock by Brad Gushue. Had a little bit less than half a stone, and whether it was overthrown or jumped on the sweep, they merely ticked it, didn't remove it, and so it was a steal of 1 for Carl deConinck Smith. Forced this 8th end tie game.
And we've started this 8th end with Carl's lead jacks making a perfect center line guard right on the line, so it cannot be ticked.
I was thinking the same thing, Jeff.
Gushue goes behind it, right on the button, and it looks like Carl's going to put up another center guard.
Other action, the return has defeated Libas 8-3 after 7 ends on sheet 2. White stole 2 after scoring 2, so they're up 5-1 playing the 7th end over Jacques. Skipping over our sheet, over to sheet 5, it's Howard up on Carruthers, 4-2 after 6. Sheet 6 is over, that's Jacobs defeated Balance in 7 ends. And on sheet 7, Dunstone had taken a 4-0 lead, but Tao has scored 1 and stole a couple, so it's 4-3 coming home in the 8th end. That's a great second shot by Jax Robson. 2 good center guards, good distance between the 2 of them. And he's curled pretty good game considering the sort of the pressure you'd face, I think, as a teenager on the ice with probably a lot of childhood curling heroes. So he's played a pretty tremendous game for a young guy. He's got a good future ahead of him.
I'm sure his parents are quite proud at how he's made out here and how the team's doing. And yeah, let's see if they can finish it here.
Full 8. Fight the 4-foot.
Likewise, 2 excellent shots by Jeff Walker. Lined up right on the center line, not a lot of separation. So
Good spot.
I think even if this is a perfectly executed tap behind, you will see the Gushue walk up and look for Brendan Botcher to peel.
I thought my one was slow, but this end was the first time it slid really well.
Oh, it slid.
I thought it was 6 feet less. Just my feel.
Yeah.
Is this called to bump that back or to just freeze on the top?
I think they're looking to bump this back with back 8 weight. They got to move it at some point. You may as well start.
Does it feel colder to you?
This rock has to curl a little bit for them, though. It's a pretty good shot.
Good shot.
It's left both of Gushue's rocks in a spot where you can freeze on them, so they are
I don't know
there
if
for them to use.
I'm curious whether he looks to peel or not. I think he's going to stay aggressive and come into the top 4. Bit of discussion here between Brendan Botcher and Brad Gushue. The team, the front end, wanted to play the run back, and they got their wish.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd like to clean up a couple of those yellows and try to make things a little bit simpler when you get to the back end of Gushue's team.
Brendan Botcher with the peel attempt on the way. Looking to touch that second center. It's close. Just missed. I think the team recognized that those redstones aren't in a good spot, and if there's going to be a come around attempt, you may as well get rid of one center now. There's a question here whether you replace that center or you come into the rings already. Carl deConinck Smith, they're electing to come freeze.
Is it too early to be coming in the rings?
I don't know. I think the way that Botcher and Nichols throw double peels, you could make the center guard really good a foot over the hog line, and they make the double peel anyway. So, of course, you make this good, and they could blast one in there too. So, it's tough. I don't think there's a right answer on that.
Yeah, okay. I'm pros too. I was wondering if it was because I'm sick.
There wasn't a lot of discussion. I think the team seemed to agree with Carl on the call.
Yeah,
so
I think they were on side with it. I think they want to
execute. This looks warm.
They can freeze it right in that
call
pocket.
was same weight, so that's back 8, so it's a little warm. They might have to rub off that yellow. Pretty good shot. I think that was the call, was to tap that back a little bit.
Yeah, he just wanted to move it a foot just to make sure it's still there to.
I don't think they wanted to freeze in the pocket, because then both those reds disappear and you can't freeze to either of them later on. So by making it this way, it's less likely that both those reds go. As much as they're the opponent's stone, they're helping Carl deConinck Smith right now. Run back attempt from Brendan Botcher. Close. Not made, but no trouble, because he removes one of the reds and removed the center guard. So.
And that red was only hurting the Gushue team sitting there. So.
Now I think you'll see the center guard. Timeout called from Carl deConinck Smith. Looks like the guys want to talk it over. I think their lead, Mike Robson, is their acting skip for the week, so look for him to come out.
He's their coach.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Skip, coach.
What?
They were talking center. Ryan Dice was looking at calling a center guard.
I think their concern is leaving a hole that Gushue can play through. Depending where it's left, there might be a double peel attempt by Mark Nichols on the guards.
Don't think you can have it a long center guard because there's room for them. It curls enough they can come around it.
Tap. They're happy leaving an angle on that yellow-red because it jams.
Sure. 4 or 5 feet in front of the rings would be a good spot for it.
They're asking for it to curl. They want it to cross center. Pretty close to what he called. It guards that port and likely just leaves a double peel on the guards. So great team shot from Team deConinck Smith.
Straight peel. Do you ever try it to clip ours? I am just thinking to open up the double.
As the discussion on the peel happens between Mark Nichols and Brad Gushue, we have another final beside us on sheet 3. Team White stole another against Jacques, so the final will be 6-1 after 7 ends.
Okay. You say thin? Thick. Okay. Okay.
So
That's
that
the end?
is what Mark had asked for. He wants to play that yellow onto the edge of that red and hope to get rid of both guards.
All rock on a curl. Nice shot.
Excellent double takeout.
It's close. I think it might straight jam. Nope, he made it. Great double by Mark Nichols. Guess he didn't quite make the double. The yellow rock stayed in the rings.
Just thinking we at least. No.
So the indication from Carl. I think the indication was that they wanted to straight guard that red rock. Curl a little bit more than Ryan Dice's first stone and leave an edge on that yellow stone exposed.
Very similar to his last shot.
This looks a little bit heavier. Heavier and wider. And I think the line was good. I think their concern is they respect Mark Nichols' upweight hitting ability, and I think you will see a high hard one that tries to remove a couple of the yellows in the rings. Late in the end, Brad Gushue's not going to want to see those many yellows in the top 4, so I'm sure he would like to see one of them removed at least. He's probably not even concerned if he loses his red at this point. He just wants to get that open for his last stone.
Okay.
Even if it's a straight run back, picks that yellow off of the button.
Final third stone, 8th end. Well, bit of a miss. I think the nose hit was. So skip stones here in 8. Tie game. Gushue, deConinck, Smith, 4-all. Gushue with the hammer. Center guard up top, and 3 deConinck, Smith rocks in the rings. But an opportunity here for Carl deConinck, Smith. If you think So that's good discussion. The comment from Ryan Dice was if they guard or just try to guard that red run back, that Gushue would get a free shot at the draw in turn on his first stone. If it's well made, Carl would only be able to pick it out, and then Brad would have practiced the draw on his first shot and would have that for the win on his last one. So they're thinking 3 shots ahead here, certainly, and that's what they have to do at this level. That yellow biter over in the 12-foot is definitely interesting because right now Brad has an open double, but if he ever rolled out or rolled away, that yellow rock could come back to haunt him a bit. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, they're spending some time here trying to decide what's going to make the toughest shot for Brad, and I think he's looking at just trying to come around, and even if he taps the outside yellow back a foot and sits right there, makes the run back that much harder.
Unlike your Grand Slams or your provincial or national events, there is no time clocks here. But the guys are respectful of the fact that some teams might be going back on the ice in an hour or later on tonight, and you don't want to have too many backed up draws in a row. So I think the shot was just to reorganize those. Is that correct?
Oh, he is too.
I think he just wants to move the outside yellow back a foot is what he called.
Can he ever chisel that shot stone over a little bit to guard the button more at all?
It may move that one a little bit in doing that.
First skip stone of the 8th end, Carl deConinck Smith, 4-all tie, Brad Gushue.
You trying to move this a little?
And I don't know if this picked or it was just tight, but the call is that it's already on the guard. So
Yelled on the release, so he may have just got it going a touch.
They're going to get something out of it, though. There's no run back now. So it did take away the run back.
Do you have air, or is it edge?
Or do we play this, Mark? So right now, if I do this...
It looks to me that Brad Gushue's got a double to sit 1, but I don't think he can roll buried. But a little bit of a missed opportunity there.
You do that,
certainly.
and he does this.
Even if he made the double and sat there, and thinking that Carl would probably just draw around.
Yeah, Brad can't get cute back. I don't think he can be any more than nose. I think if he gets inside a nose, he's not going to move that yellow stone very much. That's shot. So if he's 3/4 on the outside, makes the double and rolls to the 8, he's going to allow Carl deConinck Smith a draw behind, and then we'll see what Brad would do with his last one.
Okay.
I'm thinking a thick half, even half rock would be fine. I just think if we do that.
Half.
Final score on sheet 7. Dunstone secured 2 in the 8th end to take the victory 6-3 over Tau. It was a well-fought battle over there. Tau's team was down 4-0 after 4, but came back to make a game of it, playing 8. I believe they're U of A Golden Bears team, so nice to see some local college flavor, university flavor. What has Brad Gushue elected to do here?
I think he's going to try to peel that yellow that Carl just threw onto his red and hope to possibly move something in the rings.
Yep. Hard.
This is curled.
Hard.
And another miss. It wasn't a complete miss, but it's going to make things difficult for Brad Gushue on his last one.
Well, I think you're going to see Carl come around that other side and possibly try to bite the forefoot.
I think he could come around and tap. Right now, Brad Gushue's got an in-turn draw for the win or a double, nose hit double. Yep. We're 8th end action here in Astec Safety Challenge. Well curled game by both teams.
I think edge 8's the most you want to take.
Yeah, there's never been any opportunities for big ends by either team. So, like I said, Brian, teams have curled well. First game of the event. Looks like Carl plans just to maybe move his own rock back maybe to the edge of the button and make Brad Gushue's draw that much tougher.
Yeah, if he makes this right and noses the shot that's shot stone right now and taps it onto the edge of the button, he's going to force Brad Gushue to go wide in turn to draw for the win. And Brad was deep in his last shot draw, giving up hammer. So the Gushue team's been pretty good, but I would say that maybe perhaps Brad hasn't been as sharp as you typically see. Final stone, Carl deConinck Smith here in 8. Similar shot to what he attempted in his first one.
And they're on it as soon as he released it.
He looks a little light.
Looks a little bit quieter.
He looks light. Line's close.
Yeah, now they're on it.
Got a little bit of a bump. Is there a triple there? I don't think he'll ever play it.
I think he just Carl moved it enough that I think Brad
14-3.
realizes that all he's got, he has to have a quarter of a rock in the button.
When we played this path 2 ends ago,
He's made a few of these over the years.
I don't know
It's
if
a pretty
you
good
would
shot
have
by
got it there,
Carl
and it was
deConinck Smith.
that
They
was
took away the
14-3.
hit on this side, which I think would be your higher percentage shot in the 8th end. And
That was a
forced Brad Gushue to make his last shot in 8 and draw the button.
You know, and this end was set up by young Jacks making both of his first shots, and the whole team has played pretty steady this end. And
Now, we were out here.
Even a team like Gushue, you can put some pressure on him on the last end if you make all those shots.
Other than Carl's first one, which picked, they made 8 rocks this end. So that well played end by Carl deConinck Smith here. We have final stone action in the 8th end between Brad Gushue, Carl deConinck Smith. Brad Gushue looking to draw the button, secure victory. Rocks released by Gushue.
Line's a little tight.
Looked tight out of his hand, and it's curling.
Whoa. Now.
Walker
Whoa.
likes it. He's
Whoa.
sweeping it.
No. Sit. Good shot, Brad.
And Brad Gushue will bite the back of the button to secure victory, but a well-fought, hard-fought game by the local team. Carl deConinck Smith. Anytime you force those guys to make their last rock draw to the button, it's a heck of a game. But a 5-4 score for Brad Gushue in 8 ends against Carl deConinck Smith from the Astec Safety Challenge.
Yeah, good throw, Brad.
Hey Ben, what's the Astec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be AstecSafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Astec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Astec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.